Hello, everyone. I am very excited to be able to present my population investigation to you today. I chose to investigate individuals who spent time in foster care and how that experience impacted their development. While we have often talked about all research being me-search, I did not choose this population from personally going through foster care. In fact, before this project, I really didn't know anyone who had spent time in foster care. My interest in this group stemmed from my time as an RA, specifically after seeing this video.
When I came to college my freshman year, I was a foster youth, and I didn't have my guardians because they were both in prison. Moving into the dorms and unpacking all my stuff, alone, and seeing other people with their families, it was tough for me because, I would have loved to have my family there. So that day I vowed that I would help prevent people from having to move into the dorms alone.
The Renaissance Scholars Program is an academic support program for students who've experienced foster care or homelessness. We provide students with a family on campus.
Some of us don't have the luxuries that most other students have.
People don't look at me and think, wow, she's homeless. Like, no, it's not always something you can see.
Moving into the dorms is the first home that some of them have had.
To be able to say, I'm going home is a big deal.
Thank you guys for coming this morning. Bringing you guys here, we want to make sure that you had some support, right? And that you guys know that you aren't alone. So we have some things here to help you guys get started. Some blankets, some toiletries, and notebooks to really get you settled in.
This is for you, to show you that we love you.
Oh my gosh, I'm not used to getting stuff like this. And we were excited over toilet paper, so that shows you how much you need stuff.
I have everything that I need now.
This is so cute.
This situation gives them a sense of belonging to a family. And this was a reminder that we will be here to support them and help them as they go on to graduate.
It still hasn't registered, I don't think, that I'm now okay.
As someone who had enforced housing policies and assisted with numerous move-ins, it had never occurred to me that some individuals could be transitioning to college without any support from family, friends, or a community. And although this video spoke quite a bit to individuals facing homelessness, many of these sentiments that were in this video were also reflected in the conversations that I had with my participants. I had the privilege of speaking with Blake Murphy, Brandy Reed, and Brandy Hausman. As you can see, I have included some of their backgrounds to demonstrate how different they are from one another. However, as I got to hear each one of their stories, I realized that in spite of their differences, their experiences had a lot in common. As a result, I have compiled their responses and constructed a model that represents the transition from foster care to adulthood. There are three major aspects of the transitioning from foster care to adulthood model. The first component of the model is trauma. In addition to the questions and feelings around the thought of, why did my family leave me? Or why did they give me up? All of my participants experienced other forms of trauma. Following that trauma, internal and external factors also have a significant impact on an individual and further shape their development. For example, the trauma of neglect combined with feelings of abandonment, while living in an unstable environment and moving from home to home can lead to a developmental perspective of self-reliance, distrust in others, and focusing only on surviving in the here and now. This mindset and way of living remain largely unchanged until the second phase of the model, the major life event. Attending college or starting a family can cause an individual to re-examine the developmental schema they have been operating off of. An individual at college surrounded by friends and mentors and being encouraged to think about their program of study or who they want to be when they graduate impacts that previous development. And through these two phases, the individual reaches the final stage, transitioning to adulthood. More positive interactions with the internal and external factors lead to a more successful transition, while negative experiences with factors can lead to more obstacles and challenges in adulthood. Although I was the one to construct my model on Google Draw, the content came directly from the experiences of my participants. As I mentioned previously, trauma is the first stage in the model. Although he was no more than 8 years old, Blake can vividly recall the trauma from his childhood and in his time in foster care. These types of trauma cause physical, emotional, and mental harm. As a result, the participants all indicated that they really couldn't trust anyone. They focused on surviving and could only rely on themselves. The next stage is the major life event. Whether it's going to college, finding a job, or entering into a romantic relationship, the participants all went on to encounter a major life event. For Brandy Hausman, it was pursuing higher education and getting a chance to define herself. Navigating the major life events oftentimes included the creation of strong, dependable relationships. This in and of itself was a very difficult task for the participants, along with navigating the major life event. And even though all three have had overall success transitioning into adulthood, their time in foster care still influences them. Brandy Reed has only recently been able to correctly identify what she feels and why, and notes that residual effects of spending time in foster care are still present. Blake is still dealing with attachment issues, but is determined to make his own way in life. Brandy Reed believes that now as an adult, she's much more open-minded and empathetic, and even volunteers as a court advocate to help other children in the foster care system. And Brandy Hausman expressed similar sentiments and states that anyone is welcome at her open door policy home. There were many common themes throughout the conversations I had with participants. The one that I found most interesting was an increased social awareness. All three had stated that because of foster care, they were much more in tune with mannerisms, body language, tone of voice, and other subtle cues than most people. In comparing my model with existing theories on development of foster care individuals, I found some similarities. Trauma is the norm for children in foster care. The transition to adulthood, especially for those aging out of the system, is very difficult. And the odds of a negative outcome, such as incarceration or non-marital pregnancies, are very high. Although my participants fared better in comparison to many of their counterparts, they all face these very challenging and disheartening realities. But in light of this, there is a way that student affairs professionals can help. When working with individuals out of foster care, the participants advised making sure basic needs were met, teaching how to think big picture, and to be a listening ear for those students. Above all, don't let people feel like they are disposable. Thank you for listening, and if you have any questions or would like to know more, please feel free to email me.